It is about... Damn. Oh, you know what? I probably should have done that. Whatever. It is what it is at this point. I'm just going to rock with it. It is about damn time. Classical Learner shows up ready to stream. Look at him. He doesn't even have TikTok involved in this yet. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Now, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get the talk on the horn here. We're gonna get TikTok on the horn. We're gonna talk a little bit about homeschooling. We're gonna reach homeschool crowd, and then we're gonna talk about the Revolving Door, but only on YouTube. But first, we're gonna talk about homeschooling with the TikTok crowd. All right, let me grab them. Let's go. What do we call it? We'll call it Homes. I'm going to lift you guys up a little bit. Boom. Call it homeschool. I don't know. What do we want to do here? I've been busy all morning. Let's go homeschool. What do we want to call it? Homeschool. So drop a getting started, a Q&A. We'll do a Q&A. Q&A. Drop it on there. All right, let's get TikTok involved. I'm going to do a quick talk with them about homeschool, and then I want to pop back over to YouTube where I want to talk about the Revolving Door. I'll probably forget that, so remind me that I want to talk about the Revolving Door. But it has to do with our study into the media industrial complex, which I'll be releasing the next course, the next class on that tomorrow. And very excited about this one. It's really a topic people don't talk about a lot. We're like how we've gone from Operation Mockingbird to the nonsense we see now. But it really is startling when you look at it and you think about it. So, all right, let's get these people on the line. In 3, 2, 1. Good morning, TikTok. We are here with YouTube, and it is a beautiful day in the sunny South. My wife and my boy and my girl just went on a walk, and they invited me. And I started going on the walk with them, and I kind of told them to go ahead of me because I was fixing some stuff on the website. So if you go look on the Cubs to Bears part of the website, it looks great. I mean, I still need to fix it up, quite frankly. But anyway, I was catching up with them, and I ran outside, and I had the two devices in my hand, and they were just buffering, and I was like, you know what? The internet's going to give me problems, and I don't even think I want to do it. So I figured I would do a quick stream called Homeschool Q&A, in which I answer any questions you guys might have about homeschooling. But really, homeschooling is superior to public school in nearly every way. And that bears its fruits. Well, the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, in that homeschool students outperform public school students on the SATs. Homeschool students outperform public school students on the ACTs. Homeschool students outperform public school students on standardized tests. Basically every metrics. But you really have to look beyond those metrics, because part of the reason that so many people homeschool, and we've gone from 3 million to, hey Melissa, we've gone from 3 million to 11 million in the United States of America, is people realize that even if you do good on those tests, right? Oh, wow, he did so good on his SATs. Oh, wow, look at little Matthew. He's really crushing that standardized test. That doesn't translate to actually being able to live a free and independent life in the real world. That doesn't translate to an 18-year-old, right? He did so well on all these tests. He's 18 years old. What is he able to do for a living? Nothing. What do you mean he's not able to do nothing? That's it, nothing. He has earned the right. He has earned the privilege of taking out $100,000 in student loans to major in nonsense, or not even to pick a major. And he did that. Did you at least teach him like what that means? Like, did you teach him what a student loan means, what it means to take out that debt, how interest works? No, you didn't teach him any of that. You think that's relevant? Should we have taught little Matthew that? I mean, he did so good on his SATs. No, no. Why would we have taught him that? Well, did you teach him any financial literacy? No, you didn't teach him. He took one class in 12th grade. You've had this child from the time he was 3 years old or 5 years old. And you, from the time he was 3 to 17, didn't even bother to bring up financial literacy. He doesn't know what loans are or debt or how a mortgage works or how compound interest works. He doesn't know about credit cards. He doesn't know about bank accounts. He doesn't know. You put together an education system, and that's the best you came up with, and people continue to give their children to this system. It really is remarkable. I'm a homeschooling mom of 5. I found you on Instagram. My sister sent me one of your videos on unschooling. I love what you do. Well, unschooling is the most powerful of education. And there's a reason why I make so many videos related to unschooling on my TikTok channels and my Instagram channels, is because I like to show people what it could look like and how they can do it. Now, you'll get the critics, and they'll come along and say, "Oh, well, if you're unschooling little Matthew, then he won't know math. Oh, you're such an idiot." And you're like, man, do you hear yourself? Like, you understand that you could follow your child's interest and still also have them take math? Like, it's not binary. Like, I know people live in this binary world of like, you are Democrat or you are Republican, you are Yankees or you are Red Sox, but like, no, like little Matthew could do some unschooling, and then you could also have him take formal math and science and whatever you want. But the beautiful thing about unschooling, and I've had the privilege of coaching, first when I started Classical Learner with doing one-on-one consultations and really setting up people's homeschools and showing them how to unschool. But now with Homeschools Connected, our private homeschool community, I've had the privilege of, because we have an open chat at all times, you know, like we could inbox each other. And I've had the privilege of actually coaching the members of our community one-on-one and really showing everyone how to do unschooling. And we have members of our community, 15-year-olds trying to get into real estate, 16-year-olds approaching restaurants and offering to do their coding, 10, 11, 12-year-old girls starting their own clothing lines and purchasing tables at farmers markets and doing stuff like that. Like, we have, one of the mothers in our community, we follow the interest of our children. That's the idea behind unschooling. And her son got a piece of wood, really nice thick wood, carved out a rectangle to look like a flag, sanded it down, glazed it, painted it, and it's this beautiful piece of wood, like cutting board, and it looks like an American flag, and then, well, let's just say it's decorated very nicely. So, and that's that type of artwork that child did, right? We're talking about a teenage child. It is high quality enough where at a farmer's market, it could sell for at least over $100, probably about $150, $200 for that piece of artwork, right? So there's no limit to the things our children can do. And when you follow the interest of your children and you channel that natural motivation, right? You're motivated about what you're interested in, right? People who sit down with me, they're like, man, this guy can't shut up about education and he can't shut up about gardening. Like, hey, Tiff Gog, he's always talking about education, he's always talking about gardening. Well, your children are the same way. We're all wired that way. And if you follow the interest of your children and you use that interest to teach them what you want them to learn, there's no limits to what they can do. So what we do is we follow the interest of our children. We use the interest of our children to develop skills. And we use the skills that they develop to get them entrepreneurial experience, right? So, and then from there, it's really a cycle, because once they get entrepreneurial experience, we use the entrepreneurial experience to develop more skills, right? So, like, let's say that the girls who created their clothing line, and they're selling their clothing at a farmer's market. Well, once they have success with that, you say, okay, well, now you made money. We could learn financial literacy. But two, say, okay, well, why don't we build a website? And you teach them the basics of HTML, of web design. They don't have to get too crazy with it if they're not that into it, but you can still build a website. You say, okay, well, if you want people to buy your clothing online, you're going to need to frame the clothing so it looks beautiful. How do we do that? Well, there's a course you could take in photography. So then you have your daughter take a course in photography. She takes a course in photography, and now she could put beautiful photographs on the website. You say, this photograph looks beautiful, but you know what would make it look really, really, really nice? What would make it look really nice is if we had you take a class on graphic design. Why don't you take a class on graphic design? And then you say, okay, now let's take your nice photographs. Let's take those graphic design skills you learned, right? You could do it right with the course. And now you can do all types of really cool things. Photographs that really pop, that you could use for your website, that you could use for marketing. Marketing, what's marketing? Oh, well, why don't you read this book? It's called Contagious. Is Contagious? Yeah, it's all about social media marketing. Or there's this guy, Chris Johnson, who has the Wealth Squad, who has a course all about social media marketing. Say, oh, well, why would I take his course? Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, there's a lot of teachers you have in life that do nothing. And then there's this guy, Chris Johnson, who they would laugh at, who makes over $1 million a month running his online business. Yeah, I think he knows what he's doing. I think he probably has a good idea what he's doing. Right? So we could take his social media marketing course, right? And you learn one skill after another, and you just build on that. So we follow the interest of our children. We used the interest of our children to develop skills, and we use the skill development to get entrepreneurial experience. And what we do is in our homeschool community, we call it the rule of 6, is every 6 months from the time your child is 5 years old. And I just say 6 months because basically just 2 semesters a year, right? So really every school semester. I know some places it's trimesters, but you get the point, right? You get the spring semester, the fall semester. Have something entrepreneurial embedded into what they're doing. And that could be as simple as a lemonade stand, a cookie sale. And then as they get older, we start to do more and more complex things with them. Let me give an example. Let's say that your child is into baking, which is a great early childhood skill because it's really easy to get them some entrepreneurial experience with baking, and it's a good skill. So when they're young, yeah, you have them bake cookies and host a bake sale. When they get older, you can start to get more complex with the things that you do. So let's say that your child is now 15, 16 years old, and they're very proficient in their ability to bake. They love doing it. So, all right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, maybe your child goes to a church, right? And again, this could look different depending on how you structure your life. But let's say this is a child that's part of a church community. So I'd say, okay, what we're going to do is you're going to go to the pastor and say, I would like to host a bake sale, a fundraiser for the church. Oh, okay. The pastor will say, great, that's phenomenal. The church, win-win, right? They make money. It's a nice event for the church. Everyone's happy. Everyone gets good food, right? So you have your teenager host this bake sale for the church. And this is a great experience in itself because you could really say, listen, take initiative. Go to the pastor and say, this is what I'm going to need. I'm going to need these tables. I'm going to need this much space. I'm going to need this many people to help me run the event. Can I get some volunteers? And the pastor, you'll see, they'll be like, wow, this is great. Someone's doing this great fundraiser for us. They're going to stand up in front of the church and they're going to say, hey, we have this very impressive young lady who's a member of our church who she's hosting this fundraiser. Can we get any volunteers? And if you're in a halfway decent community, then you're going to get some volunteers. And then now your teenager finds herself in a place where not only is she hosting a fundraiser, but she has employees, right? She's not paying them, but the point is that she's managing this operation, and she has workers, right? Think about the experience that this young person is getting. I mean, this is phenomenal. So you have her host this event, and they do the fundraiser, and she bakes all the food for it and organizes everything, and the church parishioners show up, and that's great. Great experience. Does she stop there? No. She wants to be a cook or baking or own a restaurant. Now she could go to the same pastor or minister or whatever we're talking about here and say, you know, I really have a passion about this cooking thing. I would love if I had an apprenticeship working at a restaurant or cooking. Can you help me get that? And then the next week, that pastor, that minister, whatever, priest, wherever you go, stands up in front of the church and says, hey, you know how little Sally hosted the fundraiser last week and it was a grand success and everyone loved it? Well, she wants to be a cook or she wants to open a restaurant. So if there's anyone in this church that has a restaurant, you'd be doing this whole community a really great service if you would take her on as an apprentice. Now, I don't know about you and the town you live in, but the church I go to, there are multiple restaurant owners that are there every week, and they always give, tons of free food to the church for all their events and stuff. And they would, in a second, in fact, they're like the most beautiful, God-loving people. They would, in a second, hire that young person as an apprentice, right? So, do you need a strong Christian daddy? I don't tolerate any knocking of my religion here. So if you do it again, this is your warning. If you do it again, you're banned. So I doubt you would have the courage to do that in other circles, and I certainly won't allow you to do it in mine. But listen, that's what we have to deal with in the world. There's a lot of people like that person that are really intolerant, and it's quite frankly disgraceful. Quite frankly, it's disgraceful, and I doubt you would have the courage to talk to other groups in that way, but I come from a group that actually is marginalized, and that it actually, and you know it's marginalized because you feel comfortable saying that, right? Right? And if you want to get my full defense of how I really feel, I'll be streaming on just YouTube in a little bit. But so courageous. You're such a courageous person. So anyway, so that would be a great way to get. That would be a great way to get experience for your student. And there's so many different angles I can go with that in terms of your child loves to bake. But that's a prime example of unschooling. So one of the things I do, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm here for all your positive content, yes. So one of the things we do in my homeschool community is I have the opportunity to coach everyone on unschooling. And we actually have an open chat with amazing. We have hundreds of homeschool mothers and fathers now, and everyone, we have this primary chat in which everyone's bouncing ideas off of each other all day, and it's a really beautiful thing. And then we're doing a lot of great stuff. We're doing a year-long nature unit study. I'm teaching courses on propaganda, the Bill of Rights, the media industrial complex, which I'm about to jump over to YouTube, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the media industrial complex and the course I'm teaching for that. So if anyone is interested in our community, it's www.classicallearner.com. It's called, when you get there, you'll see Homeschools Connected, and just use the promotion code FREEDOM, all lowercase letters, and it's only $10 a month, which is the best part. I do not try to lock people in for the year. Like, if you join it and you want to quit, you're out $10, but I don't worry about that because our retention rates are phenomenal. So $10 a month, and like I said, you get access to myself, you get access to the community, and all of the courses that I teach on our nature unit study, the media industrial complex, propaganda, the Bill of Rights, and more stuff we have coming down the pike, including stuff my wife is working on, but I'm not going to do any announcements until it's ready. So, all right, guys, TikTok, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to jump over to YouTube because I want to talk to my crowd. So that's the Classical Learner YouTube page. You can find me, Classical Learner, on basically anything, www.classicallearner.com. Homeschools Connected. All right, check us out. I'm going to give it a 10-second runoff. 1, 2, 3, 4. Runs on a delay, so I just have to let the delay go. Let my people go. Melissa's such a legend. Melissa pegs me with nickels. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. Cheerio. Morning Nickel. She's hilarious. All right. Let's go. How do we end this? End. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. And now. All right. All right, YouTube. TikTok is gone. They have gone the wayside, and I think that was a productive stream. We reached some new people, and we only talked about homeschooling, but my God, was I tempted to go off there. But you see, I've learned to control myself, you know? Like, there's a lot of subtle things. Like, when that one person came into the chat and they asked me, what are my pronouns? So what they're doing is, I think a lot of these people are, tasked, they're paid, I get attacked. And what they're doing there is they're trying to get me to speak in a derogatory way about their question, right? Because that would violate directly the terms and conditions, and they can use it to get me banned. So I just have to be very disciplined on there and understand what they're doing, and understand that these people have fallen to such a low place that they've down to this deep pit in which, well, here's the thing. People talk about hell. I think it's a place you have to go, but when you don't live a moral life, they're already in hell, right? I mean, imagine like that's what they wake up and do. They wake up and they try to attack people they've never met, that they have no interest in what they're saying. Like, we're a homeschool community. Like, you could literally just go anywhere else and listen to anything positive about like whatever you think about the world. But instead, they're going to come and attack our homeschool chat. What is their life like? They're already in hell. People create their own hell. So anyway, I don't let that affect me that much, and that it is what it is. So, all right, Revolving Door. So this week we are doing our study into the media industrial complex, and everyone knows it's something I'm very passionate about. There's a reason it's one of the first classes I decided courses I decided to teach. And we've all heard me talk about Operation Mockingbird and how back in the 1970s, the CIA spent billions of dollars essentially bribing news media. Well, there's something much more nefarious to the point where how it's gotten today, where it's gotten to. And so the revolving door, people hear about this with like pharmaceuticals. And it's a real thing with like pharma. Like, I've covered that ad nauseum, and I'm going to teach a whole course on that. But there is a revolving door between the intelligence community, no one talks about this, and the corporate news media, where they have gotten so intertwined that it's no longer, it used to be a cycle where the intelligence agencies were funneling money into news media, right? But now it's actually a full circle. You have the government, the intelligence agencies, that's the government. These are unelected government bureaucracies funneling money into corporate news media. And then when the members of the intelligence community, quote unquote, retire, which is laughable, right? When they, quote unquote, retire, what do? They get new jobs working as analysts for corporate news media. James Clapper was the head of national intelligence, right? He was the head of national intelligence, who oversees the entire American intelligence apparatus, right? Oversees everything, NSA, CIA, right? Clapper retires, and he gets a cushy paying job working for CNN. So when Operation Mockingbird broke, when we found out about that, people were outraged. They were like, oh my God, these financial ties between the government and media, they have gotten so bad that now when the heads of these intelligence agencies resign, they actually get cushy paying jobs for the corporate media. It's the same with Brennan, right? What was Brennan? The director of the FBI, I believe? Well, now he's a well-paid analyst working for corporate news media. So the revolving door has come full circle, in which the intelligence agencies and the news media are so intertwined that you actually have each one funneling money to each other. And then to expect that they could ever give us the news straight is so laughable that, I mean, it's what a falling society looks like, right? Everything around us is what a falling society looks like. And it's degeneracy at every corner. It's corruption at every corner. It's, I mean, food that kills us. It's an education system that dumbs us down. It's doctors that make us, you gotta be careful how I word that on here, right? It's lawyers who destroy law. Everything in our system is completely backwards. And whereas the media was supposed to hold the government's feet to the fire, they are now so intertwined that you can't describe our media as anything other than state media. And it's the same thing with like, oh, this beautiful bird singing. I'm trying to stream here, but you sound beautiful. It's the same thing with social media, right? Where the government's intertwined with the news media. Well, the government's intertwined with social media, right? And because of that, the social media, they'll only trend authoritative sources. So they'll, like, if you type something in, CNN and ABC and Fox News, they'll come up. But like truth speakers, their stuff won't come up. It gets squashed to the back of the search. And it's quite nefarious. So disappointing. How stupid do they think we are with that we wouldn't see it? Well, I mean, a lot of people don't see it. But yeah, I mean, the whole thing with social media, like Twitter and YouTube and all these companies, like, they're protected by Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act. And what Section 230 does is it basically states that they're not editors, right? So they can't be sued for anything maybe I say on their platform, right? Because if they could be, and they have all these people, it'd be very hard to run a social media platform. So they have this artificial protection from the law, right? They have artificial government protection. They are not editors. That's the whole point of it. Well, then they start acting as editors, right? They start censoring people, but they keep their artificial government protection. So they're not a private corporation, right? Once they got that artificial protection from government, they are a partnership between government and these companies, and they should be bound by the First Amendment. Because the only reason they're not bound by it is because in the first place, or by law in the first place, is because they have this artificial protection from government. You see? And then they'll come around and you'll get these cuck-servatives, you'll get these Ben Shapiro types, and like, oh, it's the free market, and it's the free market. Well, I know you're not that dumb, Ben. You're not that dumb, and you know it's not a free market, right? But these people, they're there as gatekeepers, and that's their purpose, right? So, you know, as soon as they started acting as editors, all these social media companies, they should have lost their artificial protection. But not only did they not lose it, they actually get called in front of Congress, right? So people like to point at Zuckerberg and Dorsey. they like to point at these people and say, oh, you see, like, they're the ones censoring you. But they're being called in front of these powerful bodies, and they're being questioned in front of Congress. Why aren't you stopping the spread of let's talk about other things, information, right? So they're actually being pressured by the government to do the censoring, and they're getting the artificial protection from government, which could be taken away at any time if they don't do what the government wants. So we live in this fascistic society, right? And it's so laughable because the people that support this, they'll be the first ones to call them, which is so laughable. But this is real fascism. It's government partnering with these corporations, and it's with the news media, social media. And anyway, so that's what we're teaching our children to see, because we want them to be able to see it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. So I think I will call it a stream on that. And yeah, got some stuff I got to do, and I'll be back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. All right, guys, freedom isn't free. This has been fun, and I'll catch you tomorrow.